Tonight, concerns over whether people can safely evacuate the Pueblo Tinseltown movie theater in an emergency.
Yeah, they say the theater is just too dark and they can't see those exit signs. And frankly, they say that these types of limitations are being ignored by fire inspectors. Chief Investigative Reporter Eric Ross in studio tonight with more on what'd you find out here, Eric.
Rob and Elizabeth, good evening. Our investigation found city officials knew about this issue months before we started asking questions. On any given day,
hey, one for game night.
Hundreds of people visit Pueblo's only movie theater. A frequent moviegoer reached out to me, wanting to share her concerns over emergency exit signs she says are not visible. She requested that we not make the story about her and instead focus on the lack of safety inside the theater.
It's going to be number 14, pushing over here on the 14. All right, thanks, man.
So News 5 Investigates went undercover, sending a station employee inside. Before the movie begins, you could see where the exit doors with signs are located. However, once the movie starts, that signage disappears. News 5 Investigates discovered multiple exit signs were not installed at an angle where everyone inside can see them, a clear fire code violation. How did something like this happen?
Somewhere along the lines, they were given and allowed to put some signs in there that really were not visible from every part of the theater. That should not have been allowed in the first place.
Deputy Fire Chief Rick Potter says someone inside his department years ago overlooked the issue and gave the movie theater a passing score on its occupancy inspection. Unfortunately, once an occupancy certificate is issued, Potter says it's hard to correct certain violations unless there's a change in ownership or the theater remodels.
What this situation tells us, though, is that we need to look at all of those situations a little bit closer and look at and do a better job of educating all of our crews to make sure that they're looking at all pieces of the code.
How long have you known about this issue for?
It's been a few weeks to a month now.
But our tipster told us that was absolutely not true. And after she felt her complaints were not being taken seriously by the fire inspector, she started calling and recording her conversations.
My concern is for the public safety, and so I feel like we should have. How long ago did I speak with Eric? That was at least 6 months ago. Is he passed on everything on to you, because he never returned my call?
He's kept me up to speed.
If what Deputy Chief Potter said in the recorded phone conversation was true, this means he and other fire officials knew about the code violations at least 6 months prior to February of this year. So we clarified our question. You mentioned this has been on your radar for a couple of weeks, but you're telling me it hasn't been on your radar for 6 months, 7 months, 8 months.
I don't know that it's been on mine for that long. I don't know when the initial complaint was with the inspector.
Also on the recording, more evidence the department mistakenly certified the theater as up to code when in fact it was not.
We've kind of painted ourselves into a corner. From about halfway up the theater, the signs are just not visible at all. We are working on it. We are aware of it. And it's something we're going to have to try to figure out how we can try to bring them into compliance.
We're all interested in one thing. We're interested in the well-being and the safety of people who go to these types of facilities.
And we do know the fire department is now working with the theater to reinstall exit signs at a 45-degree angle, which will make them compliant.
We're going to go back and check within the next week or so. And I'm fully confident that when we go back that all of the theaters are going to be caught up by that point and changed.
And late last night, Deputy Chief Potter sent us this letter that was given to the movie theater stating they are now in compliance. However, there are still some concerns over visibility, and we will be following up on that issue in the near future. As always, we will let you know what we find out.